given the beyond hypermasculinity that is part of the mythology of this country, and the fact that the desperately closeted Pete Hegseth would be left to his own devices, along with Mini Mike, that wouldn't be good. It's not good now. It's not good now. This is them leashed. This is them with a muzzle. Let's not do that.
Who's the leash? Where's the leash? Where's the muzzle?
Hey, this is the
How
muzzled version.
Right
I don't know what to. I don't know what
What's
to.
the muzzle? I see no muzzle. I see no leash. I don't think they're muzzled or leashed. They don't care about U.S. law. They don't care about international law. They do whatever they feel like doing.
Then get them.
Get who?
Get all of them. All of them. Take them. Take them, somebody. If it's not going to be Russia, space monkeys. Come through the black hole.
No.
Go get them.
No, thank you. No, I don't want AI running the country either. No, thank you.
I don't want AI running the country. I want space monkeys to get them.
Just evaporate them. Just
evaporate them. And here's part of why.
Just what you call it. Just rapture them away. All
rapture.
The evil dictators. Just
hey, you want to go to heaven? Great. Fantastic. Bye-bye. You want your body and soul separated? Great. Here come the aliens. Good luck to you. Listen, Trump yesterday referred to the Monroe Doctrine as, and I'm quoting now, the Monroe Doctrine.
You don't even know what it says.
He does not know what it says. But for the people who are here with us, it was a very crucial piece of legislation and doctrine that was adopted under FDR and no, I'm sorry.
Teddy
The
Roosevelt,
FDR overturned. The FDR overturned. I'm sorry about that.
Wasn't it Teddy Roosevelt?
It was actually put in by Teddy Roe and adopted in 1823. And it was a warning across the bow of European nations to get your goddamn hands off of all of the Caribbean islands, because those are ours. And if you touch them, is going to be problems for you. And so we're gonna arm ourselves and them with our army, and we're gonna just that Tea Party vibe. Hey, remember how you had deals with the Iroquois and all these other Indians, and you were gonna work with the people and restrain land acquisition, and then we killed a bunch of you and threw all of your tea into the harbor. This is that. Call this that, except the whole Caribbean. Dibsies. Okay? And Roosevelt was a prick. And then...
I mean...
Go ahead.
Can I... Okay, so
Please.
It was Monroe, because it's a Monroe Doctrine. I think Teddy Roosevelt used it a lot to go be the policeman of the world, but the Monroe Doctrine says that any intervention by a foreign power in any of the Americas, in any part of our hemisphere, could be an act of aggression against the U.S. So that was what was used to justify a lot of our interventions in Latin America, because especially Cuba, Nicaragua, all the places where there were so-called communist revolutions happening that were meant to support people instead of U.S. corporate interests. We use that as our excuse to go and intervene.
And again, back to the creation of the banana republics, because folks who were very upset about the moves that FDR was making back toward a state that was taking care of the people and was focusing on itself, was not what corporations want. At the end of the day, fascism is the most effective of all governments for corporations. And corporate oligarchy leadership ends up happening for some period of time in the places where fascism is actively and openly instituted. And whilst we are on the brink, and certainly late day capitalism did not give us a whole lot of breadth, there is still enough space, still enough room, and while they exist, still enough libraries for folks to dig more deeply, those who need convincing. And for those who do not, there are available resources. There are things that can be done. There are daily steps that can be taken, right? And we've got to engage with them. We've got to
Daily
engage
steps
with
that
them.
can be taken to do what?
Well, to resist the imperial project, to insist upon it, and that can look like all sorts of things. As you were saying, there are people in the street. Yay for them. I too appreciate that. I too am not going out there.
I honk my horn many times whenever I drive by.
Oh yeah, I'll honk my horn. I got all kind of flags on my car. Like I'm there, and I'm with it. But that I cannot do. What I can do is to actually do the thing that could make a real difference. And we have seen it happen again and again when people do it en masse, which we don't very often anymore, which is to contact your representatives and actually say something about it.
So strategy and solidarity, if we look at this, what is the strategy? Like, what's the goal of calling your representatives right now? This is a place where I struggle because whenever I call my representatives, my particular representatives where I live in Northeast Portland, are usually already doing all the things that I would want them to do.
It
So
is
what does that strategy achieve for us from your point of view?
anytime that we are giving voice, I worked for a time at LARASA, the Latin American Service and Research Agency. And what I learned is that anytime a representative receives a contact from a member of the community, that contact is meant to be the equivalent of 100 people, right? So if 500 people make contact, right? Now you've got what 500,000 people, right? In their consciousness. Okay. So even when you have folks who are by and large about the project or the human project that you believe that they to be, right? Most evidence suggests that. Encouraging that, staying on their necks and letting them know that either you appreciate it, right? You can certainly butter them up. You need them to know that you need them to protect further, to deal with the distinctions between your state and local representation, right? To reach out to your local representation if they are not on board with your state representation, and let them know, right? How you feel, where you're at. Are you willing to actually show up at, say, a city council meeting and say, do you have that kind of time, that kind of investment? That also makes a huge difference. And that's why people do those things. The people who are seen as regulars and as sort of a punchline in the U.S. conversation about how community engagement happens. The reason that they've been turned into a punchline is because they are the activists who actually lean on the politicians and make them do one or the next thing. They get the speed bump put in, they get somebody kicked out of office, they get peanut butter sandwiches taken in or out of whatever thing because one kid got allergic. Like that, there you go. That's what they do, right? And their focus is so localized that it's completely personalized. So if we as people who are trying to engage solidarity, go ahead and engage those exact same systems with a national focus and an international focus. That's how the international voice is at least in the conversation at that level, right? Locally, it's a different issue, right? To me, it's then about like, okay, well, who are the people who are doing organizing in support of families who are being impacted, right? There are organizations within your community. There are individuals within your community, wherever you happen to be, who absolutely are doing that work. Find them, whether they're on the internet or whether they've got their thing posted up in your local coffee shop. They're there, right?
They're doing what?
They're doing the work that is about resisting the international occupation, the imperialist project, right? We have to connect with people who believe the same things and are willing to stand in the same, facing the same direction, right? In the face of fear and for a brighter future. And the only way to get to the brighter future, right? Well, one of the ways, I believe, is to watch the one burn down. But to watch that happen, we got to be watching it. It's not just going to go because we feel like it should. It's going to implode. But if it implodes and we're not there, ready to build up what the remnants are and figure out what we're about to do, guess what? They're going to build it up stronger and they're going to build it up concrete. And so what do we do?
And that is part of the part, I think, of so many of our strategies when they are reactive and not strategic, tend to not be very impactful, right? Mm-hmm. And again, I am not in no way meaning to diminish or minimize what it takes for folks to go out there and beyond, if it's the street corner, the bridge, the big crowd of people downtown over the weekend. Like, I absolutely appreciate every single one of those folks who are taking their time and energy to go out and say, we the people are not in support of this. Right. And just saying I do not like Trump at a No Kings rally is not going to create regime change.
Oh, no, that's not enough.
Right. Mm-mm. It is a visible symbol that matters of what's happening, but it is not a strategy for accomplishing much beyond saying I do not consent. And it's important to let them know that we do not consent to the things. And Trump is not pretending to do this in our name. Maybe they're trying to talk about, oh, the Venezuelan people aren't getting any of the benefits of Venezuelan oil. It's like, yeah, because you wouldn't let them. And you don't want people to get benefits of corporate profits. Like, again, there's no coherence. They don't care. They just say things.
Yeah, they're pretending that, and also this is going to stop all the fentanyl.
Right? They don't care. They just want people dying in the streets. Here, there, anywhere. They do not care about average people. They care about profits.
It makes ham too expensive.
And their egos and getting what they want and throwing tantrums when they don't.
And windmills kill ducks.
For us, I think strategically, to be clear on what our goal is, and it's hard to know exactly what the goal is right now. I know there's people protesting outside of the detention center where Maduro and his wife are being held right now. The news said about 40, 50 people. It could have been 10 times as many because the news tends to pretty severely undercount how many people show up at protests. But I think being clear, our protest isn't just like no war for oil, because I feel like some people just pulled out their signs from 20 years ago when we were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. But it's like,
no
release
war
him.
For oil. I thought you said no war for oil. I was like, who's for oil?
No war for oil is what some of the signs are saying. And it just feels like deja vu, right? It feels like a total repeat of 20 years ago and 20 years before that.
Yeah.
But I think to be clear, like, no, he should be released and sent back to Venezuela, and the Venezuelan people should decide what to do. Do they have a good strategy for fixing that right now? Do we? No, but still, we gonna have to figure it out. They gonna have to figure it out.
What to do about what? What the fuck are we putting our foot in? I'm not with it.
Their business. Let them solve their business.
That's what. Okay. All right.
There's not a country
I wasn't sure what you were saying.
There's not a country we've intervened in that's been better off after we left. Is Iraq in a better state than it was before we invaded and took down Saddam? No. Afghanistan? Absolutely not.
Well, the last time I was in Iraq I've never been to Iraq.
I've never been there. From what I understand, things are not better now than they were before the U.S.
I would imagine not.
For women, for children, for almost anyone who survived. And a lot of them did not survive.
Bill Burr would insist having Dunkin' Donuts is not the...
1 million or more Iraqis dead.
the
because
goal
of U.S. intervention. So no, it never gets better. Mind our own business. Take care of what's happening here. I say the same for Cuba. Cuba gonna have to figure out what Cuba's gonna do. It's not the U.S. job to go in and tell Cuba what to do.
Yeah.
Right. Here, we have to figure out what we are going to do. This is not sustainable.
Well,
right?
I'm saying blab and blab loud to wherever you can. And here's
but
part
what are
of
you
why.
blabbing? What are you asking for?
Here
What's
is
the goal?
part of why is that Israel and other right-wing countries are now trying to put a lean and their thumb on the scale of the freedom of speech. Not just political speech in the ways that we understand it, and we don't understand it because most people think that if you ever tell them to be quiet, then you're interfering with their freedom of speech, and that's not what that is at all. If you are not part of an organization that is somehow being quieted by the government, that's not what it is, so stop that. But Israel and other countries are now deciding that it rather than the Security Council dealing with this extrajudicious kidnapping, that hey, maybe Americans should pipe the fuck down and no. So pipe up louder. That alone, I don't give a shit what you do. Say whatever the fuck you feel like. This is the only time I have ever gotten ACLU levels of blind patriotic. Fuck you. You're not telling us about our Constitution while you're on somebody else's goddamn land, knocking into fucking people's houses, throwing them out on the street, and then claiming it as your own. Piss off. So that's just, that upset me.
They did what?
Israel is out there saying that the U.S. should curtail the First Amendment and the freedom of speech.
As far as
ever
shutting down
anything,
protesters,
shut your face.
Or
yes,
like what are they asking for? What are they proposing?
For your mouth quiet, my mouth quiet. Are you a U.S. citizen? Shut the fuck up.
By what mechanism?
Because shut the fuck up. Turn off the internet. Shut them up. Shut up.
Okay, I'll look
Jail
into this.
them.
I don't fully understand.
There's nothing to understand. Israel wants us to act like Israel.
Okay.
Lock them up. Lock them all up. Shut them down.
Anyone who protests or speaks against the government?
Anything. Against Trump. Against Trump. Against Trump
specifically.
Not government.
Okay. So, sure. Go out, be loud, say whatever, but also maybe be clear about what it is you're asking for.
Yeah.
Because again, saying we hate Trump doesn't accomplish much.
That's not a thing. No,
but
that's
if we
not
say release Maduro, send him back to Venezuela and respect Venezuelan sovereignty, protesting and expecting and saying loudly that we expect the judiciary to follow federal and international law and recognize that they have no likely jurisdiction or that there is no real evidence would be good, to not let there be a bunch of fabricated evidence. I'm not saying he's not guilty of something or is a perfect person. I don't know enough to have an opinion. I know that I do not want to live in a world where countries are just willy-nilly. Well, I do already live in that world. I want to believe that there could be international order and respect for other countries' sovereignty. And mostly that's a fantasy because we've really never allowed that to happen. But we can ask for it, right? So be clear what we're asking for.
Let's that be the four.
What we expect our Congress people to do, to impeach Trump over this extrajudicial thing, but to have an ask, to have a request. It can't just be, I don't like this. You can. I mean, you can say that all day long, but to what end? We got to get clear on what we're actually asking for. I mean, I think you have a lot of experience of thinking about what you were able to do as a high school student, a college student around a bigger international thing like South Africa, by finding a really specific strategy that was within your realm of influence, which was soda machines, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, fighting against not the soda machines specifically, though. That was the most localized symbol. The national fight that originated in Atlanta was the fight against the bottling companies, Coca-Cola bottling companies in South Africa, and the idea of disinvestment, which was a bullshit corporate term that Coke was trying to put on their lack of efforts around divestment, which was the call coming from human rights organizations, and primarily led by, at that time, a still very effectual Amnesty International.
So Amnesty International, other activists are calling on Coke to divest from South Africa because of apartheid. They said, well, we'll kind of sort of disinvest, but not really.
Yeah,
and
specifically
you
the
being a high
bottling
school
company.
student in Boulder, Colorado, were able to organize to get those Coke vending machines removed from the school as one means of active protest to try to pressure them to further divest from South Africa, which alone, one couple vending machines in one high school in Boulder, Colorado is not alone going to cause anything. But when you had that happening across the country in other countries, when you had these grapefruit ladies in Ireland, right, who refused to sell grapefruit because they're coming from South Africa and went on strike, for months, when you combine all those small acts all over the world, then it did pressure companies. It did help to collapse the regime, along with all the many decades and years of work that all the folks in South Africa were putting into bringing down apartheid. But that way that the international solidarity really does matter in finding what's the local thing that ties into these big systems that I do not have control over. What's the local action that fits into it? And I don't know what all of those are. I don't know what they are here in Portland even. As you said, I'm sure there are folks who do, and we don't have to know them all today. But as we find out, where are we willing to actually step up and say, I'm willing to go hold this sign on the corner because I have the time and energy, and that's something I can do to raise awareness. Or I'm willing to organize my school to remove this vending machine because it's the one piece of this big system that I have access to where I can take action. And so I think that's what we don't have to have all the answers today or know exactly what it is, but as we're aware and as we continue to research and understand, to find out what those things are. Because I don't think destiny not going to come knock on your door while you're sitting on the couch watching Netflix. Like, this is not... maybe you watch something really inspiring Netflix and it activates an idea and then you go move on it. It could be. Most of us, though, like, are you out there doing research? Are you just listening to mainstream media? Are you just listening to 30-second segments on social media with no verification of the credibility of the sources you're actually listening to? Are you just going off of like, oh, it sounds right to me, so it must be true? Or are you actually creating an analysis based on like credibility, verifiability, that fits into the world values that you're trying to create, not just this right, wrong, good, bad that we so easily fall into as humans?
Yeah, dig into it. If we said some and say something that sounded like what, go look. I mean, who cares? That's great. You should look.
Yeah, come tell us.
You should look. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. We change minds a lot.
We are not historians, though we do know history.
I used to be an historian. I'm not anymore. I don't
you?
study the way I studied my butt off. I bet I don't.
Okay, but
anymore.
were you like? Was it your full-time job to like?
No. Oh no.
Dig into history.
Just trained,
That's what I mean.
just
Like,
trained. Yeah.
But people who actually, engage with history and understand it with a critical analysis isn't just the mainstream story in the history books, but understanding. There's been a lot going around about listening to Venezuelans, and it's like, well, Venezuelans are at least as diverse as Americans are, right? And so you have many people of different class, racial, ethnic, indigenous, colonizer, corporate, surviving the slums. You have people of all different life experiences. So when you're listening and evaluating your sources, where they're first-person testimonials or corporate media, to have the same questions about who benefits and who's burdened. Whose narrative is this? Whose narrative is who's being served by the narrative that's being shared? And again, not to minimize or diminish or take away from people's real life experiences of trauma. That's all real, regardless of where they sit on the political spectrum. But to understand where the analysis or lack thereof is in the perspective someone is sharing, I think is important as we try to be informed global citizens.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, it can be as simple as it is for many of us, right? In terms of, listen, I am for human sovereignty and self-determination, and go fuck yourself, everyone and thing else than that, right? And
It's a pretty
that's
clear line.
a fine line.
Very clear line.
And there have been so many historical weaponizations of the framework that I just described, just as we are witnessing in real time, in terms of anything that now, if it says the American Institute of, it gives you the willies and a chill on the back of your neck because of what they've done to it, right? So the same thing is true of what I just said. So keeping in mind that when I'm talking about having sovereignty and self-determination, that, I mean, there's a whole red pill movement around are you a sovereign citizen? And what that means is I want to drive around without a license. Fuck you. That's not what it means.
So I would be a colonizer who goes to wherever I want to go and do whatever I want to do with no laws and no one to hold me accountable, which is 100% what Trump is doing on a global scale.
And is absolutely
it's just white
not what
male
it means.
colonizer
That's
mentality.
One part of the word. It's two words. It's sovereign citizen. And citizen comes with a great deal of weight and responsibility, which is why we believe in the recognition, right, of that responsibility, and then two, celebrating the joy that exists within it when you actually invest in the community and in building that network of solidarity, right? Because at some point you're going to need it. At some point you are going to need it. I know we're going long, and guess what? It just is that way. You can stop it. Come back later. The levels and the urgency that I feel about it is born from this kind of interaction. And I will say this, right, is that I was on the Book of the Face, not for any extended period of time, nor for any reason. And somebody had said,
also known as Facebook.
Yeah. Somebody had said of Trump's declaration this morning that there's only going to be two genders in the United States, which, what the fuck are you talking about? Not a thing. But yeah, I mean, you can call it whatever you want. You can pretend whatever you want. It still is what it is, and fine. Also, they're the ones who are always crashing Grindr. Fine. All that said,
Republicans.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And CPAC and all those gross.
Whenever they have a convention, they crash Grindr in that city.
Every single time, without fail. It's fantastic. Fantastic. All my girls get online going, it's down again. So it's just 5 or more of them in a town. They're calling everybody. So before they're out there playing slap and tickle, the big thing that they are about right now is trying to recognize themselves as sovereign, not as citizens, wipe away citizenry, right? Which is what they're trying to do everywhere, and now trying to do that globally as well. And so I just want to be very clear about that. Now, the Facebook person had started cheering this idea of there being only two genders because good for us. I am so tired of having to ask what somebody's pronouns are every week. So
The person on Facebook was tired of having to ask people what their pronouns are.
Yes, theoretically
Oh,
on a weekly basis.
theoretically, every week.
I don't know who they think, and I'm going to say they because I am not I'm going to leave as little information available. I don't want anyone harassing. I'm not trying to like get into some shit. I don't want them to get into some shit. It's the incident that is elevated from the moment, okay, that is really at odds right now. But this person had put this ugliness forward, and I said, get the fuck out of here with this vile shit. And
As you would.
as I would. And I did not block them because no. Hey, listen. There have been times where there are people with whom I actually have relationship who say a thing out of like whatever and habit or what, you know, they're doing a lot of no diddy still.
Internalized nonsense.
And so maybe this is one of that. And it turned out that no, that's not what it was. Because the response I got was, I have no idea what you're even talking about. And so then I blocked them because I need my peace. Point being, using your voice, as you were saying, on behalf of the most impacted is the using your voice and your actions, including your spending habits, on behalf of the most impacted is the single most important thing that in a society where our power has been relegated to consumerism and social media, we can do. That's your power. That's where you stand. Wiggle where you stand. Target is falling in the US.
Starbucks too.
Starbucks is falling, shutting down
half the Starbucks in Portland.
Portland.
On MLK.
We are right next
to.
You could throw a rock and hit Seattle. Come on. We can do this.
What, if I may, does that look like for you, taking action in service of the most impacted? Like concretely, if this is the first time someone's engaged with us and they're not quite sure, for you right now, what does that or might that look like?
Well, I'll be very, very honest and clear. We are doing that right now. I also shift my part of the thing about stand up for me is that I will respond almost immediately to circumstances at hand, political circumstances at hand. And so speaking to that as loudly and as publicly on as many stages as I am able, both the thing about gender, the movement toward anti-imperialism, and the call to get people integrated into their local politic, as well as contacting their own representatives and raising their voices. I mean, that's really where it is for me. And to that point, the thing that happens, right? Because all the machines. Remember when Google said "do no evil"? Well, that's gone. So Google just does the evil. But what you can do instead of looking at Google or looking at any us.gov sites, given that they're not useful anymore, is to look at commoncause.org. That's all one word, obviously, COMMON cause, CAUSE.org. And if you go there, There's an entire page around who are my representatives. All you have to do is type in your zip code. It will bring up your representatives. It will bring up their numbers, their emails, anything you need to know. And if you're interested in taking action, there's a button right at the top of the page. All you do is you click it, and it will tell you what is going on in terms of the issue that is of most import to you. And so if that happens to be that maybe we shouldn't have a commander in chief who wants to dress like the dictator of the Muppets and kidnap other presidents, then that's one of the places that you could go. That's one of the places that you could go to start to voice that to people who actually have power to then carry that up the flagpole as far as they can get, which is certainly further than you can get. And the whole point is this: further together, faster alone. You might be able to run out in the street and say whatever you want and pipe off and do the thing and whatever. Great. Fantastic. Pipe off? I don't know what that means. Pop off and do the thing and whatever, right? Together, we can get further, and further is important. Right now, we are to make small steps and do them together. And by doing that, as you said, Theresa, that's where we will have the largest impact. And it's one of those things that when it happens, it feels surreal. Mandela becoming the president of South Africa and actually ushering in decades of justice-oriented democracy. It's different now. But the decades that followed, that could not have been predicted 5 years prior. So,
and just because your side wins doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect.
Nope. In fact, it won't.
No, absolutely not, because humans are not perfect. We do seem to have an uncanny knack for ruining things. No matter our good
might be our species.
And, you know, that's not, we don't stop trying. And I think that is a place where I've also been able to find some hope and inspiration, is looking at the movements that have achieved success, who have accomplished their goals, and the challenges along the way and the challenges afterwards, that there is no happy ever after. It's a constant act of creation and life and death and rebirth. And figuring out how to embrace that part of the unknown of creation has been helpful for me this week. That was one of my, when I'm meditating and trying to connect in with spirit, something that really came through for me was really, if I really embrace the spirit of the unknown, then I don't have to have all the answers. Yeah. And I'm not going to. We could sit here and try to predict things all day. We may be, right here or there, probably going to be wrong a lot of the time. But it's spending so much mental energy when I can just be in my day and embrace it. Like, I don't know. And it's okay to not know right now. And if I can let go of the fear and anxiety of the part of my brain that wants to know and wants to predict and wants to fix it, and is arrogant enough to think that I alone have some power to do that, it's so much easier to just sit in the unknown and just be like, I'm going to do what's mine to do when it's time to do it. And I don't know what that's going to be, but I trust that I will be ready when the time calls for it.
Yeah.
And calls to our Congress people in the meantime. Is 5 calls still a good one as well?
5 calls is still great. Yep, absolutely. Hit up 5
Indivisible.
calls.
I think Indivisible is pretty good for finding local actions and things that are happening. It looks like a bunch of the folks I've seen all over street corners in Portland are, it's an organized movement to have this be not just one big rally downtown, but to have people like on the street corners so that we're seeing the resistance everywhere we go. So if you don't happen to be downtown, because, downtown Portland's a lot more alive than it has been in a long time. I was impressed the last time I was down there. But that if you're not down there where the rally is happening, that you're still seeing all over the city on our corners, that we're going to defend ourselves and that we are not idly sitting by. So if you're looking for ways to get involved, it's another good place to look for if you need a starting place. And if you got starting
Absolutely.
places, let us know what they are.
Please do leave them in the chat. We would love to know about those. We would love for opportunities to be available to folks in your community, folks in communities of whom you have been a part. Let us know if you are in touch with the folks who are in the know. Throw it in the chat, and we will absolutely make sure to disseminate that on our end.
Sending lots of love and prayers for Venezuela and for all the ordinary Venezuelans who did not ask for this.
And for the world. It's, and I hate to be that broad, and I'm not trying to be vague. Certainly for the people of Venezuela, as you said, and Honduras and Barbados and Guyana, and it's not sweet. It's not sweet.
Right, because then it gets more complex because then Venezuela's trying to take half of Guyana. And, it's like nobody is.
Yeah, no, it's not sweet. It's not
none
sweet.
of us are completely innocent, perfect victims. Like, world is complicated. Governments are complicated. People are complicated.
So where we are able to find solace and comfort in solidarity, and to keep our courage truly screwed to the sticking place, because we will need it, and to keep our breath open so that we have the opportunity to make choices. And ultimately, individually, that also means sitting in our feelings, whatever those be, right? And just being there. And I know that sucks. That's the worst.
And that's so much of that impulse to want to try to fix it, is to not want to sit with the feeling, especially the feeling of powerlessness, especially the discomfort, like, fuck, this sucks, and I don't want it to be this way.
Yeah.
And just
scream into the
being
void,
able to
and
give
then
ourselves
sit
the
there.
time to have the feelings and work through them, and trust that we will come out the other side, even if there's not a thing to do to fix it right now. Sometimes that patience and waiting for right timing, when you have more information, when there's a clear path, when the strategy has revealed itself, or you've taken the time to craft it. Like, there is a lot of American exceptionalism and entitlement and arrogance wrapped up in our need to fix it quick that so many of us have, because it comes from a place of like, but I don't want it to be this way, so how do I make it be how I want it to be? And that is the energy that's pushing Trump and all of our imperialism. And so on that micro to macro scale of as much as we can unravel that kind of energy from ourselves in our daily lives, the more we're unraveling that energy from the field.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, meditate, we going
yeah.
bring world peace through meditation alone, but it is meaningful to figure out how to start removing those energies from our daily lives, because it does start to change things in the fabric of what we are all creating together each day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, if we're all meditating in a field together, and then sharing a meal afterward, that's wonderful. And I hope we're also sharing the information about who is the person to email, or if you are in a community that is still resistant and has landlines, right? Make your calls, pick up, and listen. This is how we used to do it in the old school. If you're a Luddite, you already know what to do. You make the call, just line up, and you just keep handing the phone back. Don't hang up. You do not hang up. Hey, this is where I live. This is what I'm saying. This is how I feel. Okay, thank you very much. Hold on one second, and pass it right back to the next person. Do that 20, 30 times through, or 10 times, or 5 times with whomever you've got gathered.
You have
You're done.
Call your rep phone parties?
You're done. You're
Was it
done.
a party? Were you just on the dorm room? How did this come about?
Oh, this, yeah, yeah. You organize it and make sure that it's during times that they're open, right? If you would rather not talk to anybody, here's a
No, I'm
wonderful
asking
thing.
for I never saw this one. Did you like organize a
Oh,
party? Were you just all there? Like how did
no,
this
no, no,
happen?
no. It
Did it
wasn't a
happen multiple
party. No, no,
times?
no, no, no. We had gatherings that were central gatherings happening in college during the protests for ethnic studies. And so
Okay.
we would be in the student center at that time, and they do not do this any longer for exactly this reason. All of the student groups were in a hallway
Hmm.
directly in the University Memorial Center, and were within literally you could bounce something out, a ball out into the hallway and into another student group, right?
Hmm.
So the ability to be in contact with each other, and also because we were pre-telephone, pre
Why physical proximity matters.
yeah, pre-email,
Mm.
we were all in physical proximity, and you would volunteer just hanging out in that area prior to the movement.
So you just ran
So
on the hallway, grab some people, be like, "Hey, let's go call."
exactly, again, it's just a matter of like having a community, having relationships, having people you can trust, and being able to say, hey, uh, do you have 30 minutes? I need you to do A, B, or C. Bay Area. What it is, what's going on. It is Carlos, me. Not a surprise if you're listening or watching this. I am going back to the Bay, and I would love to see you there. Right now, it is SF Sketch Fest, and I'm going to be a part of it for the first time ever on January 29th. That is a Thursday. And on Friday, January 30th, I will be at the Lost Church, part of the stand up showcase. Hey, Becky Brownstein. Come on, you want to see Becky? Your buddy Renku Daw is going to be there. JT Singh, sure, yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be 7:30 Thursday night. Friday night, you're going to be able to see Timmy Booth. Once again, you're going to be able to see Becky. You're going to be able to see Ren. You're going to be able to see Zorba Javon Hughes, Angel Jin, Connor Longsdale, myself, and Christoph Zach Denek, I believe is the pronunciation. It might be wrong. Let's find out together. Where? Well, once again, that's going to be at the Lost Church. Tickets are available at SF Sketch Fest. This is the 23rd SF Sketch Fest, and tickets will also be available in the link in the description of the very podcast to which you are listening and or watching right now. Hope to see you there. SF Sketch Fest. It's going to be real funny because that's my job, right? The same thing happened to me. Called in
Hmm.
to vote things in student council, of which I was not a part, but I was brought in to be a proxy representative because our representative was at the student desk and couldn't leave for the amount of time that it would take to do the vote. And so then I had to learn Robert's rules and sit there and do the vote. I hated every second of it. And then I would leave the room and go back to leading protests because that's where I
Hmm.
was most comfortable. But we knew each other and we were proximate to each other. So while he was working on fighting Newt Gingrich's contract on America, I was working to elevate the fields of study that now are part of and under the umbrella of ethnic studies, and so we
And
had
probably back under
relationship.
attack under this
Oh,
administration
very
again.
deeply so, very
Yeah.
deeply so. Theirs as well, student government as well, um, and that's another thing, right? Student government. I mean, that obviously, much like entry positions at corporate areas, this is how you learn. This is the beginning of the thing, right? And where that is erased, it is impossible to learn. It is impossible to elevate, and therefore you end up needing a a uh, a hierarchy that is born of an oligarchy wherein it is simply handed down from one to the next because nobody else knows how the fuck to do anything. And they're trying it. They're trying it, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, we do have our voices. We do have this freedom to whatever degree. The algorithm's fucking with it. Everybody's not going to see this, but it's here. Mm-hmm. Nobody's kicking in the door. You can call your representatives. You can find these people who are doing the real work. And
yeah, so I'm thinking about your strategy, right? I mean, that's the part where like the benefits of physical proximity are not minimal. And though we have these ways to connect with each other virtually now, it's, not quite the same, but we could make it that way, right? Could you reach out to, friends, colleagues, and loved ones who are all in the same one and be like, let's have a Zoom party to call our reps. Every Tuesday at 10, we're all going to get on Zoom for 10 minutes. So we're all in the room together. So we got the accountability and the body doubling. We'll all go on mute. We'll call our reps. We'll come back. We'll tell each other how it went. We'll celebrate, and then we'll go back to life, right? So thinking about how to bring those strategies into now. Probably it's not going to be handing our physical phones around because we all have phones. If somebody don't have a phone, they lost it or left it home or whatever, maybe you pass the phone over. But thinking about what's really meaningful in those strategies, and it speaks to why it's so often young people and college students who are leading some of these things, because they're in those containers of physical proximity, of study, of really dreaming about possibilities, and it's all like condensed in this place where we're all together. And we lose so much of that, I think, as we get older, because we are isolated in our own homes and we're stressed out about bills and work and the kids, and not in those places of intense kind of catalysts and containers for innovation and ideas as much. But I think it's worth thinking about how to pull some of those strategies forward.
Yeah, you're scraping for survival. It's not the time to. I mean, it's time to innovate. How
absolutely
you're gonna eat.
Is.
It's time to innovate how you're going to eat.
Scarcity drives innovation.
Absolutely, but it may not be the kind of innovation that corporate America is after.
It's not what we're after either, I don't think.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
To that
I like
end,
that, thinking about ways to make this a collective endeavor, not just an individual thing we're doing at home, but how to start organizing. And I've been thinking about this, and maybe we'll come back to this next time because I know we're trying to wrap up. But I've seen a lot of like very well-intentioned and like solid advice going around social media about like mutual aid and start a dinner club or start this, or here's a bunch of things you can do in your neighborhood. And all of them assume that you know your neighbors, right? And so even just getting to 101 of like, most of us are not ready for that level because we are not organized. And what does it take to start becoming an organizer? You have to just start getting to know people. You're not going to organize a protest tomorrow if you have no relationships with anyone. But if you start by just meeting your neighbors and saying hello, and then finding out what's impacting them, and then inviting them to come call your congressperson or email your congressperson coffee at your house, or getting 20 people who are in your network to join you on a Zoom call to do that, then we're starting to actually organize. And that's a place where it just takes that small action to say, can we all do this together? And if we can win that, and so you invite 20 people and 5 people showed up, you got 5 people who called, and maybe only 2 of them would have if they hadn't come to your thing, right? And then what's the next thing? And so we have to, I'm not saying only think about the small things, but I think we really have to start thinking about what are the small things we do to start building that social cohesion and that trust and that ability to pull things off together, because so many of us are burned out by all the ways our efforts to make other people do what we want them to do, that we have called community, have blown up in our faces and not gone very well. So be a micro organizer, go and introduce yourself to your neighbors you don't know, find out what's going on in their lives and what they're interested in. And from there, you start to build relationship and trust and invite people into those small, winnable actions. It's got to be something that we can actually achieve and celebrate at the end, so that we're not just demoralized that we haven't been able to like save Venezuela and Palestine tomorrow. And because from starting from there, then we just give up hope and it feels impossible. And then we don't even try, and then we lose everything.
Yeah. If you have the kind of gumption and energy for that, hey, listen, you're 30 years younger than me. So do that. and you should do that for the other aunties. Again, right? We wiggle where we walk. We will go where we stand. We can't be doing everything. We've done quite a lot and have tried to do so much. Those of us who've been in this struggle for freedom for our lives, and we will keep trying, because what the hell else is there? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to tell some jokes. I'm going to try and get some people free. What else am I going to do? I don't know.
I mean, we're definitely not retiring in this economy.
In this economy? All right. Hey, this might be, this is probably, at this point, the end of part 2 of 2-part episode. So thank you for listening to each of the parts. And you're wonderful. We're wonderful. And I started drifting and forgot how to close the show. So that's fun.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves out there.
Thank you again to Amani Whittle for the dope ass song, and the supporters at Solidity. I did it again. I think we changed the name. Solidity and Strategarity at strategyandSolidarity.org, who
We're
are
so good
helping.
at branding.
I'm so good at it. Who are helping to make this possible. You can find us by looking us up at strategyandSolidarity.org. If that is not preferable and you really need Apple to have a slice, find us in your app store. Hit us up in there.
No, they won't. Like, Apple hasn't approved any of our things, so you can't sign. Like, you got to go through strategyandSolidarity.org first, then download the app.
Come hang with us.
Someday it might work that way, but
maybe
it doesn't right now.
We got the song in here now. There's going to be clips all over the place. It's going to be great. Be a supporter. We're going to have a lot of cool stuff in there. I think that we probably came up with some ideas around some things that we should be hosting. I know that we have been in conversation with many past presenters who are excited to be coming back this year. Thank you for listening, and we do hope that you can find some comfort and joy in this world, remembering that it's an act of defiance and love. All right, that's enough of this.
What am I?